get this to go to the next page. Here we go. So I know we did this in the free workshop, but I really just want to reinforce a couple of these principles here because I just want to open up the awareness of how much more we are. And I know all of you on here know this. This isn't brand new information, but I do personally want to practice it as people start coming in here that may not have touched these type of subjects before, because we are composed of so many different layers. But we only operate through what we know as the conscious mind in the body. We think that we're controlling things, but we're not. And what we want to tap into is really get an understanding of what's behind the curtains. What subconscious programming is running the show here? And how do we really get ourselves into a place where we can truly walk the path of our highest purpose? And that is by channeling our higher self. It's our higher self. The higher self always knows what's best for us. And even though we might think that we do know, or we project what it is that we want and we get mad because manifesting never works for us, well, that was never meant for us to begin with. But so often we get in our own way. And I'm 1,000% guilty of this. 1,000%. So I'm no angel over here all the time. But really, at the end of the day, the conscious mind is here to help you navigate survival and also to be an observer of what's going on. Because we want to be really fluent, just like we've talked about. Again, the first workshop is, being able to be that rock star who could kind of just take life for everything that gets thrown at them. And to take that and transmute that energy into the highest and greatest good. But oftentimes we allow that to throw us. We start reacting. We start going down victim. We start doing this. And we become our own resistance to creating a life that we really, really want. And when I first started my awakening, I kind of felt like I was hit in the face a little bit. I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but I had a friend recommend me go to this seminar. And I thought it was so cheesy. And I showed up, I went outside this building waiting for everyone to go in there. And I almost left. I was like, this is so dumb. I'm too good for this. And that was a moment when I started observing how I was reacting to life. I'm like, I'm literally being served an opportunity on a plate to change my life. And I'm choosing to show up saying this is dumb. And I'm like, I got to stop. I have got to stop this attitude. And these 3 days transformed my life. And I don't know what happened. It was like at the end of it, I had cried, like I couldn't stop crying because all of this blocked energy just started flowing out of me and releasing. And I don't know, it was like I stepped into this new paradigm. And that's when I started working with these other higher aspects of self, where it truly did become transformative. And Shannon, it reminds me a little bit of what you're saying in terms of moving more into spiritual wellness, because I don't think focusing just on the body is enough for recovery. It's just, it's not. And I posted on this just this morning on TikTok, how you have to start removing the layers and seeing what's underneath it. So this is our goal here, tapping into this area, but we need the conscious tools to even know what to do to get to that point. So welcome to Inner Baddie. Okay, so let's use a little bit of quantum and reinforce the fact that we have access to this infinite pool of possibilities. Our soul, when we incarnate, does give us specific timelines that are available to us. So I don't believe that you can do absolutely anything that you want all the time. You know how that goes. Because we're here to learn specific lessons. We're here to take our part in the collective. So people, places, things, events are in our actual soul contract that are going to play out. But most often, at the end of the day, we do create our own misery. So what we want to do is tap into the quantum and start accelerating ourselves into timelines that are available to us that are amazing. And we can do that. Now, how the subconscious works is the subconscious does not like anything that's unknown, because this goes back to the way that we are wired. We are wired to stay alive, again, going back to the conscious mind. So even if something is unfavorable, something we don't like, but it's known, we will take that option over the unknown because there's not safety in the unknown. And we need to be okay with stepping into things that seem completely far-fetched. Those really scary things that every single one of your friends and family is going to tell you to not do it. So I don't know if anyone has done that, where everyone's like, are you absolutely nuts? But it worked out because you followed your intuition. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, have you guys done this? I just want to make sure I'm not just like talking to myself. Okay, cool. But that's where we can start exploring those aspects of the unknown. And where we want to get you to is we want to focus on you being in a state that is just totally present. So if there's any takeaway, I don't care if you need to put like a rubber band on your head, is I want you to start observing when you're not in a present state and then snap the rubber band. You're like, what's here? What's here right now? Because this is exactly how you work with quantum. Is you apply that intention that you made at the beginning of this. You take that intention and you have to apply the emotional charge to it, because the higher self doesn't work through logical means. It doesn't work through language. The higher self is all about emotion. So for example, are you guys familiar with Esther Hicks? Okay, so Annabelle, you're the only one. So Esther Hicks, she's very interesting. And I don't know if that's the channeled person or the woman's name. I don't know. But this woman channels this higher being and talks about being in the vortex. So all about law of attraction, where to focus your energy, this or that. But one of the biggest lessons she talks about is following your excitement. And the reason for that is because that's how the higher self communicates with you, is through that excitement. So when something comes up and you're not like that excited about it, Leah, do you mind if I use you as an example real quick? Because Leah's working on putting her, next steps for work and this and that. But we had identified some things that were holding her up the past week or two. And we started clearing some of that out and working on stuff moving forward. And she messaged me over the weekend and said, it was like a preschool or a daycare reached out to you for an opportunity. So for me, that translates to her. She is finally working with that energy of giving and receiving, giving and receiving. So the universe is responding to that and sending her things. But it's still not quite what the higher self wants, because she's like, I don't know, we'll see. That to me is already a translation of like, okay, well, your energy is opening up, but let's get you to the highest timeline. Something that really, really excites you. Because when you know, it's like, you just know. And that's what transpires into these experiences that you want. So you do have to follow the excitement. So when you combine your intention and apply that emotion to it, while being open to receiving what comes towards you, because it's probably going to be unknown. It's not going to be your safe, like, your safe 401 situation all the time. But that's what draws those experiences to you. So I'm going to give you a quick example. And I'm so sorry. I cannot believe I have to blow my nose in the middle of this. When I left Equinox, I had a breakdown. Like I had a total breakdown because they were working us. I was a membership advisor into the ground. We didn't have like holidays off. We didn't have weekends off. I'd be there for like 12 hours a day. It was crazy. And I was just so tired. And one of the things that I established is like, I really want to do something better for myself. But I didn't know what that was. But the thing that kept coming to my mind is I just really liked working with stuffed animals. Dog toys, like what the heck? But I couldn't get the idea right. But it excited me. It was kind of like, again, that compass, the higher self compass. And finally I let it go. And I'm like, universe, if you want me to explore this avenue, I'm open. Like I'm ready for this idea. Like I will put in the action to make this happen. So if you're willing to give it to me, let me know. 2 or 3 months later, I had a dream and it was so vivid. And I'm standing in these clouds and there's these super cute stuffed animals. And I would squeeze them and they would fart. And I'm like, oh, it's so funny. I'm going to make farting stuffed animals. And I woke my husband up in the middle of the night. I'm like, the farting dog company. That's it. He's like, what? I go, farting stuffed animals. And he's like, yeah, I think that would work. And then he like went right back to sleep. And I started it the next day. And I ended up getting into 350 stores all by myself. I was an Amazon bestseller within 2 weeks of launching. Like I really did something with it. And my mom ended up apologizing to me. And she said, when you first told me this idea that you were going to like look up Chinese manufacturers to make dog toys that fart, and you called it the farting dog company, I was so embarrassed. I'm like, it's funny. It's going to work. It's the name. Like people will like stop. And they did, because it's ridiculous. But I just knew. But there was that excitement and the intention that brought the idea to me. And I just had to execute it. But that was just the beginning of my career, because spirit and my higher self had bigger plans, because that opened the doors for all of this, literally this, to start happening. So we have to create the intention with the emotion, and you cannot do that unless you're in that present state.